I played in my first ever Pokemon TCG regional, and it did not go so well. Pokemon has been one of my favorite series growing up, and back in 2017, I used to play the trading card game super casually, but shortly after, I quit. It wasn't until last fall when my friend Will and I started to watch some TCG regional streams on Twitch and YouTube that we kind of got hooked. So we began playing the game and thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we joined a regional tournament? So we decided to participate in the Pokemon Regional Championships in Milwaukee, and here's how it went. But before we begin, hit that like button down below, and while you're down there, maybe consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell so you guys know the next time I come up with a new video and when I go live. I'm getting this close to 100 subs, and I want to try to get there by the end of summer, so if you do, thanks for the support. And also, what's your favorite card from Paldea Evolved? Mine is Meowscarada EX Secret Illustration Rare. Let me know your favorite card in the comment section down below. And now, back to the video. The day starts out early, getting up by 4 a.m. and leaving by 5 because the venue is about a 2-hour drive. But with a podcast and talking strategies with KP on the way, made it there in no time. Lucky for us, we get there early enough to get really good parking spots right across the street from the venue. We head on up with a huge line of people waiting, and to my surprise, the line goes pretty quick. We check into the event and step into the main venue. And believe me, I cannot tell you how blown away I am at this point. There are so many people here gathered just to play and watch Pokemon together. How amazing is this? Over on one side you can see the streams, over on the other you can see all the vendors with all the cool Pokemon plushies and stuff, and every single judge had a little Pokemon on their shoulder. It was the coolest thing ever. Since we had some time in the morning, I went over to the vendors to see what they had, and I found this one booth that had a bunch of Japanese exclusive plushies, and knowing me, I had to get one of my favorite Pokemons there as well, so I picked up this little Rowlet, and he was sort of my companion for the rest of the day. By the time 8:30 rolled around, they started round 1 of the day, and there were a lot of people for this tournament, like a lot. I think Masters Division, which is what we were placed in, was somewhere around 1,300 participants for the day, and we made up pretty much half of the amount of people there. And then once the brackets are up, everyone gets up and just goes to find their new spot. And it took me about 5 minutes to find my spot, but you know, I had to travel through just a sea of people. But I get there in a pretty decently timely manner. I sit down and just await for instructions because the round hasn't started yet. The judges are still preparing and giving announcements and stuff. And I notice the seat in front of me has been empty for a good while. And the guy next to me also has a seat that's open in front of him. We kind of chit-chat a little bit. We're just like, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. We exchange names and stuff. And I'm like, hey, is your opponent here yet? And he's like, no. Is yours? And I'm like, no. Are we supposed to be playing against each other? And we both check our schedules, and we're like, no, okay, we're good. We're not playing each other. But the judge comes around and it's like, hey, if you guys don't have anybody who shows up, if they're late or just a no-show, first 5 minutes, they have 5 minutes to get there. If they don't show up in that time, you guys take first match. If 10 minutes go by and they're still not here, you take the whole round. And I was like, all right, cool. If my person doesn't show, I get a first win of the day. Not the idea I want, but why not, right? The first 5 minutes go by, and the guy next to me, his opponent, shows up about 2 minutes late. They start going, everyone starts going, and I'm still stuck there with no opponent. I'm kind of just twiddling my thumbs, looking at everyone around me, seeing what they're playing, and just kind of bored out of my mind, really. The first 5 minutes are up, judge comes by, no opponent yet? No, nothing. He's like, all right, signs it off. All right, 10 more minutes. If no one shows up, you take the match. And I'm like, sounds good to me. And lo and behold, 10 minutes passed, nothing. And I was just like, all right, cool. Judge comes over, signs my slip, and I just turn it in. So that's how I got my first day, my first win of the day, I guess. After that first win, I just got up and kind of explored the rest of the event.
I took game 1 because it was a no-show, but I'll take it. Win's a win. But I had some time and did some more shopping.
Oh my god.
some reverse hollows, dark energies for Cody, green energies for me. Got this little helper. So, yeah, we'll see how the rest of the day goes. Kind of unfortunate I didn't get to play in game 1, but game 2, let's see. Alright, later.
So after doing a little bit of shopping, I found my friends again and just kind of chit-chatted with them. They told me what they were seeing throughout the day, like other Mew VMAXs going on in Lost Box and some Lugias. They've been hearing about Lugias, and I started getting worried because I'm playing Lugia. That's the only deck that I brought, and that's probably one of the top tier decks playing right now. And I felt a little nervous still just because like my person didn't show up in the beginning, and I got the buy right away. But I wasn't going to let that stop me or just like get on my nerves. So as round 2 gets called, I try to hype myself up because prior to this, I've only been playing Lugia V-Stars against every single other matchup. I've been going against Lost Box, I've been going against Mew VMAX, I've been going against Gardevoir EX, and not really ready if I'm going to be seeing mirror matches. But lo and behold, the next 3 matches, I kid you not, I go against Lugia V-Star, the matchup I'm not ready for. Now, it's not that I didn't want to play against Lugia at all, it's just I hadn't had practice against other Lugia matchups and just didn't know how to play against it. But I think I learned a lot just playing against these 3 matchups. The first guy I went up against, we took it to game 3, and it was insightful to kind of notice that, like, oh, whoever had a boss's orders or a Serena out first was most likely going to win, because all we needed to do was gust up each other's damaged Pokemon or just weaker threats and knock them out as faster than the other person could. And that's exactly what we did for those 3 matches, and I had the drop on him and was able to take the 3rd game, winning in the first victory, which felt pretty good, especially after having a bye in the beginning. It made me a little bit more confident, but by the time the 3rd match happened, this is the second Lugia I went up against, I thought this match was a little bit more insightful because he played his deck with a Thornton, which I wasn't really expecting because most Lugia decks don't have Thornton in their deck list, and he threw me by surprise by throwing his Lugias away, or just taking the Lugia that I just knocked out on turn prior. He was able to save himself from being set back a whole lot, and he did that to me for 2 rounds. I won the first round, but he took the last 2 rounds mainly because of that strategy, and it was pretty insightful. As for the 3rd matchup, that guy kind of steamrolled me 2-0, but mostly because our second match, I think I did get really bad odds. We both started off really slow, and it was really hard to catch up, but he was able to get both his Archeops onto the field faster than I could, and with just, last-ditch effort, I did my combo a little bit too early and got my 1 Archeops onto the field versus the 2, and kind of put a double turbo onto my Tyranitar, which kind of weakened him by 20 damage. I didn't realize that midway through the battle that was going to be the wrong call, but at the very end, where I could have knocked out one of his very last Pokemon, that minus 20 damage was the thing that was holding me back, and that was a mistake I made 5 or 6 turns ago. But it was still an interesting match, and I'm not upset that I lost. I think at the time I was, but I learned a lot from just playing those 3 matchups, and feel a little bit more confident playing the Lugia into a mirror match now.
Alright, update. I am currently 2-2. Yeah, pretty tough. I've been going on only against Lugia V-Stars, so a lot of mirror matches, but pushing through. I think we got 5 more matches, and then if I win the next 5 or so, I believe I still get points for coming, but it is what it is. I'll update again once the event's over, because we're actually on a break right now, and then I think these matches are going to be coming pretty quick, so yeah, doing good. So we'll see you guys at the end of the day.
Unfortunately for me, I come back to my last game of the day. I end up going against Murad on EX, which on paper doesn't seem too bad. Muradin hits Lugia for weakness, but I have an Urshifu that hits Muradin for weakness, so not terrible, right? However, it's RNG that actually screws me over. My starting hand, I have a Radiant Serena, a bunch of energies that are meant for Lugia and Urshifu, and a bunch of support cards that I just can't play right away. My opponent gets his Muradin EX and sets up his whole field, getting his Regielekis and Raikus out, and even some energies onto his Raikou. My first turn, I draw into a Lugia, which is not too bad, but I play it, and all it can do is just kind of sit there. And my opponent got lucky by getting Serena and was able to gust up my Lugia and knocking it out right away. And I didn't think it was going to be too much of a big deal, but drawing into my next card, I really just didn't have anything to start up another engine, so I ended up scooping right away and getting into the second game, which RNG, again, just wasn't on my side and ended up drawing almost exactly the same hand, except this time I get my Urshifu. I go first, I play my Urshifu down, and I'm hoping that I can get some energies onto it right away, but again, if I had the same start, my opponent had the same start. He ended up getting his Rhydon engine running and getting all of his units onto the field super quickly, all charged up with energies, and was able to gust up my Urshifu and stop me from using it. Which at that point, I think I kind of knew that this was going to be the end for me. And I ended up conceding and taking the loss on this one, which put me at 2 wins and 3 losses, which wasn't going to be enough to either get points or even make it to day 2. So, yeah.
Alright, so made it. Finished my last game. Officially 2-3, which means I can no longer get top cut or I think have enough points to get like championship points. So ended up just disqualifying just because I wasn't going to make it that far. But now I got to be doing some side events. So yeah, day's not over, and just gonna keep going, keep playing, and just try to have some fun at the rest of the venue. So been good. 2-3, not too bad. 2-3.
So I took the rest of the day to explore and do some side events, which got me points to win some cool prizes like these. I ended up getting this really cool medallion from one of the older regionals. I failed and messed up and thought it was the Milwaukee regionals, but I just didn't look at it correctly, and that was actually a different side event. But overall, I think I had a great time playing at this event. It was so cool and such a great experience to be doing something like this. Seeing all these players that I normally would watch on Twitch and YouTube, seeing them in person, and get to see the whole live streaming experience just up front, up close, was a whole new thing. And yeah, I think at the time I was a little upset about the loss there, but I learned a lot from those matchups and grew even more as a player. So I don't regret a thing, and I would wish to do this again someday.